Good evening. You're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Saraya Mia. Highways throughout the country will be toll-free on November 11th and 12th in conjunction with Deepavali. Toll exemption will be given to all vehicle classes at all toll plazas except those at the national border, the Bangunan Sultan Iskandar and Tanjung Kupang toll plazas in Johor. Works Minister Datuk Sri Alexander Nantalinggi said the move was to reduce traffic congestion as people return to their hometowns and back to the city. It was also to optimize the operation and coordination of additional logistics along highways. He added that those on the road are advised to comply with the recommended travel time schedule or travel time advisory. Around 11.8 million vehicles are expected to be on the highway over the weekend. The descendants of a former sultan have dropped their claims to seize Malaysian-owned diplomatic properties in Paris as part of an almost $15 billion arbitration dispute. Law and Institutional Reform Minister Datuk Sri Azalina Othman Said said an enforcement judge in the French capital recorded the claimants' withdrawal from the proceedings they initiated to seize diplomatic buildings.
Kesimpulannya, ini bermakna kedua-dua keputusan pada 6 November dan 9 November ini memberikan keputusan membebaskan kerajaan Malaysia daripada cubaan tidak sah oleh warga negara Filipina tersebut untuk merampas aset diplomatik Malaysia di Perancis secara menyeluruh. Mereka gagal dalam menyentuh hak milik harta Malaysia dan kita tidak sama sekali boleh memberikan sikap bertolak ansur ke atas tuntutan yang tidak sah ini.
Azalina said the withdrawal on Thursday followed the successful appeal by Putrajaya in June against the exequatur of the $14.9 billion award given by the French Arbitration Court to the self-claimed heirs of the defunct Sulu Sultanate in 2022. The judge considered that it did not have the power to authorize such measures and ordered the claimants to pay more than $16,000 to Malaysia as costs. Spanish arbitrator Gonzalo Stampa, who controversially ordered Malaysia to pay the partial award to the heirs, will face charges in the Madrid court on December 11th.
Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Amiruddin Shahri tabled a budget of 2.5 billion ringgit for the state next year. He said 52.6% or 1.33 billion ringgit of the total is allocated for administrative expenses and 47.4% or 1.2 billion ringgit for development expenses.
Amiruddin said the state government estimated that some 2.2 billion ringgit can be collected in taxes. This figure is projected based on the previous track record revenue that amounted to 2 billion ringgit collected between August 2022 and September 2023. He said one of the main contributors to the state revenue in 2024 is land premiums, amounting to over 890 million ringgit or 40.5% of the total estimated revenue. The budget this time, he said, also experienced a deficit amounting to 330 million ringgit, which is lower than last year with a reduction of 120 million ringgit.
The Selangor government has also allocated at least 60 million ringgit for management of irrigation, drainage and water resources in the state in 2024. Amiruddin Shahri said this is part of the state's commitment to sustainable water resource management, which will focus on flood mitigation project development and drainage system development, among others.
Bagi mengatasi pencemaran sumber air, kerajaan negeri telah membelanjakan lebih 60 juta merangkupi perkhidmatan rawatan biologikal, bioremediation bagi tujuan pemeliharaan kualiti air Sungai Gong dan Sungai Sembah dan pelaksanaan projek infrastruktur pengempaman dari kolam di Sungai Selangor dan Sungai Semenyih. Projek infrastruktur ini dijangka siap sepenuhnya pada suku tahun pertama 2024.
We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Pertandingan semakin mencabar.
Korang akan dapat lagu semua jenis lagu terjun bangunan. So you learn.
Lihatlah reaksi mereka. Siapakah bakal mengunggulinya?
best. Keindahan, kemerduan.
This should be macam ni lah.
All Stars Gegar Vaganza, Ahad 9 malam di Astro Ria dan Astro Go.
Welcome back. On to updates in the Gaza Strip. Israeli airstrikes hit Gaza's biggest hospital, the Al-Shifa Hospital, one of several hospitals struck early on Friday. The exact casualties are not yet known. Officials said other strikes had damaged parts of the Indonesian hospital and hit vehicles outside the Rantisi Cancer Hospital in northern Gaza, where Israel claims Hamas are concentrated. But Hamas and hospital officials denied this. Within the past few hours, the Israeli military and armed tanks encircled 4 hospitals, 3 in Gaza City and 1 in the north. This prompted thousands of Palestinians to move south out of Gaza City on Friday, walking along Salah al-Din Road towards Khan Yunis. Israel ordered them to evacuate the hospitals, but without assurances from international organizations, people are not taking the risk because the journey is very dangerous and full of airstrikes. The death toll in Gaza as of Thursday has climbed to 10,812, about 40% of them children, while Israel's death toll stands at 1,400. Israel agrees to begin daily 4-hour pauses in fighting in northern Gaza to allow Palestinians to flee hostilities. According to U.S. President Joe Biden, this is a step in the right direction that would help civilians leave and get more aid into stricken areas. Biden said the military operations pauses in Gaza aim to get up to 150 aid trucks daily to increase the flow of food, water, and medicine into the region. The White House said warnings for the pauses will be given 3 hours beforehand. Although the White House said Israel had agreed to the pauses, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said any pauses would be scattered, and there was no official confirmation of a plan for recurring breaks. Meanwhile, Israeli military spokesperson Richard Hecht stressed again that there will be no ceasefire, but Israel will only continue to allow brief, localized pauses. Thousands have taken to the streets across the globe, calling for a ceasefire in the Palestine-Israel war, and Malaysian youths are no exception. In championing the Palestinians' cause, Noor Zarifa from the Global Peace Mission highlights the need for youth to educate themselves about the history and impacts of the protracted conflict.
I think it's important for the youth to educate themselves with the history, with what's currently happening and what happens, what the impact is. So they should educate themselves, not only for the youngsters, but they should also educate their parents, their peers, and other generations should be educated with all these current informations, because only with educations they will be able to develop a self-critical thinking on how they're going to spread it, on how they're going to talk about it.
Boycotting products linked to Israel is one of the many ways to support the Palestinians' cause. Malaysian Youth Council fellow Adli Amirullah encourages the move, but reminds others to spare judgments for those who are not in the capacity to do so.
Do not judge. That's the first, my own principle. If an individual decided to boycott, it's his or her right. If individual decided not to boycott, it's also his or her right. And definitely those that decided not to boycott have other means in supporting. Maybe they wrote article, maybe they publish more impactful social media content that actually provide more impact towards this situation, right? So I think I also want to share, want to uphold the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If someone sees evil action, if you cannot change it with your hand, you change it with your tongue. If you cannot change it with your tongue, change it with your heart. So that's important, to not really judge anyone around you. So that's one thing about boycott.
On to other news, citizens of the small Pacific island nation of Tuvalu facing displacement due to climate change will be given special rights to resettle in Australia under a landmark treaty unveiled today. Prime Ministers Anthony Albanese and Kausia Natano, who jointly announced the initiative, said the two nations would work to tackle climate change while preparing for the worst. According to the pact, Tuvalu citizens would be able to live, study and work in Australia and gain access to Australian education, health and key income and family support on arrival. Australia has committed to allowing 280 Tuvaluan individuals to migrate annually, potentially providing a boost to remittances for Tuvalu, a country with a population of just 11,000. The treaty goes beyond migration benefits. Australia has also pledged to defend Tuvalu in the face of foreign invasion or natural disasters. Additionally, funds will be allocated for land reclamation in Tuvalu. Tuvalu is among the world's most vulnerable nations due to rising sea levels. Already, 2 of Tuvalu's 9 coral islands have largely disappeared underwater. Climate scientists express concerns that the entire archipelago could become uninhabitable within the next 80 years. New Zealand's caretaker government arrangements will be extended until a new administration is formed. Outgoing Prime Minister Chris Hipkins says negotiations between 3 parties are ongoing and are likely to continue into next week. The Conservative National Party won the largest share of votes during last month's general elections. However, it would need the support of both right-wing ACT New Zealand and the populist New Zealand First parties to form a majority government. Negotiations intensified since the final results were announced on November 3rd, but there is still no clear time frame for when they will be concluded. Coalition governments are the norm in New Zealand, which operates a mixed-member proportional system. In previous elections, it has taken up to a month for a new government to be formed. Surgeons in New York say they have performed the world's first complete eye transplant on a man, an accomplishment being hailed as a breakthrough, although it is far too soon to know if he will regain his vision. An accident with high-voltage power lines had destroyed most of Aaron James' face and one eye. His right eye still worked. On 27th May this year, the 46-year-old underwent a rare partial face transplant in addition to the eye transplant, which involved more than 140 healthcare professionals. Surgeons at NYU Langone Health who performed the complicated surgery said James was recovering well from the dual transplant, and the donated eye looked remarkably healthy. Doctors said there was a direct blood flow to the retina, the part of the eye that sends images to the brain. While there is no certainty James will regain vision in his new eye, doctors do not rule out the possibility either. An elusive species of mammal, which was feared extinct after disappearing for 6 decades, has been rediscovered in a remote part of Indonesia. The Zaglosus attenboroughi, a kind of long-beaked echidna, named after famed British naturalist Sir David Attenborough, was photographed for the first time following an expedition by Oxford University.
It took a team of scientists from Britain and Indonesia 4 weeks and 80 camera traps to find the echidna, and it was only on the last day and the final memory card of the trip that the creature made an appearance. The species is described as having the spines of a hedgehog, the snout of an anteater, and the feet of a mole. They are nocturnal and shy, making them notoriously difficult to find. It has only been scientifically recorded once before in 1961, and the species has never been recorded outside the extremely remote Cyclops Mountains of Indonesia's Papua region. The ancient egg-laying mammals are thought to have emerged about 200 million years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
That report ends AWANI Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Saraya Mia, and we'll see you again.
Dulu kau semua ni sampah.
Geng, Eden tak mau nak apa-apa tau. Eden nak menang.
Ingat, kita semua bukan sampah.
Kaulah tuanku.